Hey folks, welcome back to my channel and welcome to a new vlog. If you watched last week's vlog, you'll notice that everything looks very familiar. That's because I'm doing double duty. So this vlog is going to be about preserving some fruit. Basically what happened, I'm not here to speculate or anything, but I think that a lot of produce is going on clearance right now because people are concerned about contaminants. And that is a fair concern. I am not judging, I'm concerned about it too. However, there are some things that have gone on clearance at my local grocery store that don't really make sense in my mind why to be concerned about, beyond maybe they just had like too much. So at my store, not my store, but in my town store, pineapple and sweet cherries were on sale, like crazy sale. Like a whole pineapple wasn't even $2. So I bought four and I turned half of them into pineapple habanero salsa, which I will just link the recipe for. I actually may have put that in the pepper vlog that's going to come next week. So it may be there. I don't know. I'll double check one way or the other. I'll link it in this vlog for sure. And then if it's in next week's vlog, I'll put it in there too, because we're to the point that I'm not sure what I filmed and what I haven't because I have gone to work. So, the other half of the pineapple, I am just going to can in light syrup. It's not really light syrup. You can can it in just water too. But I am going to put a little bit of sugar, just a teaspoon of sugar in each jar, and probably a half a teaspoon of lemon juice in each jar. The only thing the lemon juice is going to do is help preserve color. Not that the color is really going to go off as long as your seals are good and your pH is fine. The color should stay pretty vivid, but I do like that bright pineapple color. And these jars of pineapple will be for my daughter to snack on, and for me, because we both really, really love pineapple. And if I have any left, because like I just had these 4 jars left after I did another canning project, um, and they were already sterilized and heated. So I thought, you know, I, make hay while the sun shines, right? So I've got these pineapples cut up. I'm going to fill these up to between an inch and half-inch headspace. It's hard to do when it's like not liquid food because it's never going to be just exactly precise. But I'm also going to, I have this pot of water here that I just brought to a boil. I've got my lids, and I'm just going to put a teaspoon of sugar and a half a teaspoon of lemon juice in each jar. Then I'm going to pack the jars with the fresh pineapple. Once I get all the jars packed, I'm going to pour this water in slowly, debubble, adjust if I need to, put my lids on, and I believe the processing time for this at my elevation is 20 minutes for pints, but I will link the recipe that I'm using in the description box. Just bear in mind that I am modifying it because this recipe is just like a base where the pineapple's just packed in water. I'm just adding that sugar in there because I know it's not going to hurt anything, and I know the acid is not going to hurt anything. If anything, it's going to help. So let's go ahead and get our jars packed and filled up and processed. Hey folks, it is a new day and I have something else going in the canner right now. It is 8, almost 9 o'clock in the morning. But we all know how I am, and I can't just fire that thing up for one batch of something. I'm gonna do some more and get my use out of it. So we made pineapple. We just canned straight up pineapple with a little bit of sugar yesterday. Today, there is a recipe on the Ball Canning site for chocolate cherry jam. So we're going to make one batch of that. Present me is very happy that past me labeled how many cups this is, because the recipe calls for 6 cups of coarsely chopped fresh or frozen cherries that have been thawed. So I'm going to thaw them, and like I probably won't thaw them all the way, just probably halfway, because they're going to go in a pot and get cooked down anyway. But I am going to remeasure once these thaw some, because we want to be as close to right as we can be. And it also calls for, it's a jam. So you do the pectin, the sugar, and the lemon juice and all that good stuff. But to your sugar, you add, I believe it's 2/3 cup of unsweetened cocoa powder. So that is what I'm going to do while this thaws, and what I have in the canner right now processes. I'm just going to measure out my sugar and my cocoa and get that whisk together and make sure there are not any lumps in it. So that's just ready to dump in when we get there. All right, folks. Please enjoy the background serenades. Lily. Yeah. But we have our cherry or chocolate cherry jam. We have followed all the instructions, and it's been off the heat for like 2 minutes. Oh my stars, I'm sorry. My water bath canner's ready to go. My lids have been heating. We're good there. So I'm just going to fill these. I'm using 1/4 pints or 4-ounce jars for this, and I have a few extra half pints left over from something that I canned this morning. So we'll just see where we get. This recipe says it will make about 6 half pints. So I went ahead and got a dozen. Well, I think I have 14 actually ready, because I just got out what I had. But I went ahead and left those 3 half pints out just in case. So this is just like, well, it's not just like, but you will do fruit, which I did end up putting the cherries in the in my little blender, and just I pulsed them until they were chunky, and then went from there. But this is the cherry, 6 cups of cherries, 1/4 cup of lemon juice, and a package of pectin. Bring all that to a rolling boil. Add 6 cups of sugar, 2/3 cup of cocoa powder, and then bring that back to a rolling boil and boil hard for 1 minute. Cut the heat, and then fill your jars and process. Since I am doing 1/4 pints, it said the processing time for half pints is 10 minutes. So I'm going to do these 1/4 pints for 10 minutes, given my elevation being over 1,000 feet above sea level. And you also fill these to a 1/4 inch headspace. So I am going to focus on this and deal with Donnie Thornberry I've got going on over here, and we'll catch you back. I don't know. We'll see what else we get up to this week, see what else we do fruit-wise, but that's the plan for now. Hey folks, it is a new day, and we are going to make some lemon curd today. I have some lemons that need used up, and one of my aunts has a pretty intense surplus of eggs right now that she is being so generous to share with me. But I need to use some of them up quickly, because she is getting them to us faster than I can use them right now, which I'm not complaining about. If you watch this, I'm not upset about it. But I went ahead and decided to make some lemon curd with the lemons that needed using and the eggs that needed using. This recipe that I'm using is off of the, I can't remember the exact name. It's like the National Food Preservation site, and I will link it in the description. But essentially what we have here is a double boiler set up. I don't have a double boiler, so I have a pan that's half full of water. Make sure the water doesn't touch the bowl, and then I have a heat tolerant bowl on top. This is 4 whole eggs and 7 egg yolks. To this, I'm going to and it says to whisk in with a bulb whisk, which I just happen to have, but if you've got a fork or a different kind of whisk, I'm sure it's fine. I'm going to whisk in 2.5 cups of sugar and the zest of 3 lemons. The recipe calls for a specific, I think it's a half a cup of lemon zest, but it has a little asterisk beside it that says it's optional. So I just went ahead and zested the lemons I had. I can't imagine it's going to make that big of a difference since it's considered optional, an optional ingredient anyway. And then I also have a cup of lemon juice ready to go when I get this taken care of. So I just turned my double boiler on. I've got my eggs already whisked together, and I'm just going to slowly add the sugar into this and like add some, whisk it until it's all really well combined. And then once this starts to actually get some heat behind it and start to cook is when you add the lemon juice, and then you add 3/4 of a cup of butter chopped up, which is like what, a stick and a half. So that's the plan for this. And then the recipe says it does 3 to 4 half pints, which is honestly perfect for what we need. I might end up making some more later in the season, just kind of depends on the egg situation. But we don't use it a ton. It would just be nice to have as an option, like especially if I need to put together like a fancy dessert or something, if something comes up, like with my husband's work, or, you know, friends invite us to go do something or whatever. Then I will have something that's quick that I can use quickly. So anyway, I'm going to get this sugar stirred in. I've got my canner heating up. I've got my jars in the oven to stay warm. The processing time for this is 20 minutes at my elevation. It says for half pints 15, but since I'm above 1,000 feet, it is 20 for me. So I'll get this done, and I will do my best to remember to come back once we jar it all up so you can like see the color and the consistency before we put it in the jars. This is probably the last thing we're going to get up to in this vlog. It's kind of been fruit focused. I did, however, just pick 2 bushels of pears yesterday. So look for that vlog because we'll be doing all sorts of stuff. I want to make pear butter. I saw a recipe for spiced vanilla pear jam. That sounded really good. And I just want to chop some up and can them for my daughter for snacks like I did with that pineapple. So yeah, I'm going to get this cooking. You probably don't want to watch me do that and just ramble on. I don't have much else to ramble on about anyway, but I'll bring you back here when we jar it up and process it. All right, folks, we have cooked our lemon curd. Something I don't think I mentioned when I was kind of walking, excuse me. Sorry about that. Something I don't think I mentioned when I was walking you through the steps is that when you have everything on your double boiler, you need to heat it to 170 degrees. So I just used a candy thermometer I have and checked it every once in a while to make sure that I was good to go. And then you pull it off the heat, and it said to let it sit while slowly stirring for 5 minutes and then run it through a sieve. That didn't really make a lot of sense to me because the whole point of letting it sit is to let it thicken. So I just went ahead and ran it through the sieve right after I took it off the heat to get like the lemon zest and any like chunks of egg that maybe, you know, like egg white or something that got cooked instead of like in this custardy situation, actually like cooked into an egg white. So I did that first, and I've been stirring this for, I don't know, probably 3-ish minutes now. Just letting it thicken up and do its thing. It looks and smells beautiful. Once I get it all in the jars, I'll give you a close-up of the color because it is gorgeous. But anyway, sorry, I just finished my lunch. I am going to get my jars filled to a 1/2-inch headspace, and I've got my canner ready to rock and roll. I think I mentioned this does 3 to 4 half pints, and I would say that it'll do 3 to 4 half pints. I am going to make sure I debubble this though, since you start by whisking the eggs together, which like you have to do. There's quite a bit of air in this, and that doesn't compute in my canning brain. So I'm going to fill my jars and really do my best to get as many bubbles out as I can and get them in the canner and processed. All right, folks. And with that, I think we have a wrap on this week's vlog. I did want to hop on here though. It did make it almost exactly 4 half pints. And I have enough left to kind of snack on, which you know how I feel about tasting your food, but it's before you put it in jars to can, but it's kind of hard to do that with like jams and jellies and stuff. You just kind of taste it after the fact, like when it's cooled off in the pot and hope for the best, which is kind of the case with this too. I'm not sure this is the only batch of this I'm going to make. We don't usually eat a lot of this because it takes a lot of steps and a lot of dirty dishes. But if I can can it, which also takes a lot of steps and a lot of dirty dishes, but then it's ready and it's done, I'm probably going to do it that way because this is so good. Oh man, that's good. Yeah, good call. Good call, Katie. But anyway, guys, as always, I hope you had a great week and have a great weekend ahead of you, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.